Hi folks, I'm Richard Friedman. November 13th, 2019, the first day of the Trump impeachment hearings. And I'm here today again for my weekly Trump cartoon countdown of the week. This week it's the top 7 cartoons on the Trump cartoon countdown. And we're going to start off with number 7, work our way up to number 1. Okay, let's have a go at it. Here is number 7. We'll introduce you to the characters. Here is President Trump watching Senator Lindsey Graham from the back, watching on top of his desk here. Here's Rudy Giuliani, George Washington, looking on in spirit, looking a little concerned. Rudy with his dapper lapel here and a flower in his lapel. And again, Lindsey Graham, and here's President Trump watching what Lindsey is saying in his defense. Okay, Trump's response to watching Senator Lindsey Graham saying in his defense that the president's policy toward Ukraine is so, quote, incoherent that he's, quote, incapable of engaging in a quid pro quo in his dealings with Ukraine, with respect to his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, who basically ran a shadow foreign policy to the country. So this is, again, this is Trump's reaction to watching Lindsey Graham, and he's kind of going along, what Lindsey Graham here is doing is setting the foundation here for a Trump defense, in that if Trump didn't launch this policy, then it could have been Rudy who had the expertise and the capability of doing so, and Trump was just basically Trump administration was too incoherent to do the quid pro quo, so it was engineered by Rudy Giuliani. This is the foundation of defense that, it could be assumed, let's say, that Lindsey Graham was setting up here, because it's derogatory to say the president is incoherent. I mean, you're supporting the president, and it's a backhanded compliment to say, well, he couldn't have done it because he was too incoherent to do it. You know, as I say, somebody couldn't rob a bank because he couldn't have done it because he can't shoot straight. You know, it's that kind of thing. You know, and you got a picture of him holding up the teller and everything like that. But it wasn't him. He couldn't shoot straight. He never could have done it. You know, he doesn't even know how to load a gun. You know, so anyway, I mean, here goes the cartoon. So here we have Senator Lindsey Graham here he is, there's Lindsey, and he's saying the Trump Ukraine policy is too incoherent for quid pro quo. And then President Trump reacts here, saying, that's it. If nobody knew what the F blank 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 I was talking about, I'm innocent. And Rudy was the big boss. I'm calling my Ukraine counsel. No, he's not calling Rudy Giuliani, he's calling his counsel, his White House, I assume his counsel on Ukraine, his special counsel, I assume, on Ukraine. Somebody like, maybe Jeff Sekulow, probably. So anyway, the point is that he's going to rely on some sort of professional defense along the lines of that in this cartoon. Okay, so that was that. And again, here we have George Washington up there in spirit, looking on, a little confused of what's going on, what he's seeing here. So that's that cartoon. And Rudy is here, and President Trump is thinking about him with the lapel, the flower in his lapel, you know, like a dapper, whatever you want to say. And he's thinking about Rudy was the big boss. He was the man who called the shots, not me. So that was that cartoon, number 7. Number 6 here. Here's Rudy again. Here's Rudy. And here is Russian President Putin in a tank being driven across into here, Ukraine. Okay, that I drew in his imagination. Okay, you know, the Russians went into Crimea, they took over Crimea, and now they're threatening Ukraine, and so this is the thrust of that theme. I wouldn't assume, I don't think Putin would ever literally get into a tank and drive across Crimea into Ukraine himself, but it's his thoughts of this man, Zelensky's thoughts of what his experiences as he's speaking here on the telephone to President Trump. Okay, he's under no pressure, of course, from President Trump. Okay, so here we go. Rudy Giuliani attacks Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Friedman, suggesting star impeachment witness is disloyal and confused. That's Friedman. Confused and less than 100% loyal to America, citing a New York Times report that said this witness discussed Giuliani's shadow diplomacy effort to get dirt on the Bidens with Ukrainian counterparts in their native tongue. Okay, now what he's saying here is that Giuliani is accusing Friedman of basically discussing American positions, answering questions of the Ukrainians, what they wanted to know about that situation. And the thing was that the Ukrainians were very upset with Rudy Giuliani, and they were going to Friedman to ask him how to handle this guy who they didn't know what to do with, because he wasn't representing officially the United States, and he was playing a very influential role here as a representative of President Trump. So they were asking for guidance here on how to deal with Rudy. So Rudy is basically accusing him of basically seeking for guidance for how, from the Ukrainians seeking guidance from him giving guidance on how to deal with he himself. So it's a little bit of a trip. Okay, so here's Rudy Giuliani in a tweet saying, here he is, there's Rudy in the tweet. Yeah, there he is. There he is. Another shifty backfire. A U.S. government employee who has reportedly been advising two governments. No wonder he is confused and feels pressure. However, the only opinion that legally counts is President Zelensky's, who has clearly said no pressure. End of impeachment, end of shift. That's 2:49 p.m. See here? And that's authentically a tweet from Rudy. And then here's the conversation. Here's the conversation here with Zelensky having with President Trump. Okay. President Trump, thank you for your support in the area of defense. We are ready to buy your American missiles and to launch an investigation into the Bidens. We could use more info. You know, he doesn't have any info on the Bidens to support prosecuting them, but he could use information from President Trump in the United States, whatever information they can supply, I guess through Rudy Giuliani, who, I don't know, is doing his own investigation there and pushing the Ukrainians to investigate the Bidens. And so I guess, you know, you take it from there. So that was that cartoon, okay? The next cartoon here are the characters. Here's President Trump at his desk, and here is Russian President Putin at his desk in a conversation. Yeah, let's see what we get. Okay, here we have President Trump, and here we have Russian President Putin. Okay, President Trump, what's up? Oh, this is Putin, excuse me, President Putin, okay? All right, President Putin. What's up, President Trump? It's good your people's U.S. Republican Senate is dealing, U.S. Republican Senate, U.S. People's Republican Senate is dealing with those Democrat witch hunters. How about attending our Russian May Day parade next year? you might get more applause than at a U.S. baseball game, okay? So he's saying, well, you'll do better, you get more applause there. So, and then President Trump, in my scheme, in my, cartoon here, answers back saying that it's not the baseball season I'm worried about, it's the political season. And then President Putin, very confident, retorts, trust me, it's going to be your season. And then President Trump responds, see you in May of 2021. So you see, President Trump might figure that it'd be a bad idea to go right before, in May, the baseball season starts in April. So that would be well underway then, and he would be better off, even if he didn't get too much applause, to go to a baseball game than to go over there to Russia right before the presidential election coming up that November. It wouldn't look too good on the May Day parade. I mean, President Trump will probably say, well, we celebrated our victories together in World War II over Nazi Germany, but I don't think anybody's going to be thinking that they were toasting to the victory over in Stalingrad, that the tremendous Russian victory in defending Stalingrad and defeating the invading German army, the Nazi army. I don't think that's going to be on President Trump's mind or President Putin's mind, thinking, that we really did great those days, and we're patting ourselves, as two countries working together, that we did such a tremendous thing, such a great defeat of an evil force like that. But I don't think that would be what would be on their minds. So I leave that to you viewers to speculate on. But in any event, I think that would be probably President Trump's thought, that after the election that he's victorious in 2020, then he would feel pretty good about going there in 2021, May Day, because he'd be his last, he'd really be a lame duck president going into his lame duck years following that, and he wouldn't have to worry about re-election, so he could enjoy the May Day parade in 2021. So I think that's where it would be at, Anyway, that was that cartoon. Here we go. Here, the characters here are, again, President Trump. And we have here Rand Paul. In front of the Hoover FBI building, in terms of Trump fantasizing him being the next acting FBI director, from basically what he said recently. Okay, so here, let's have a go at that. Here, Trump's thoughts while applauding with great approval Rand Paul urging media to print whistleblower name in Kentucky, November 4th, 2019. So Rand Paul is urging the media to give the whistleblower the name. Again, the whistleblower law provides for the protection of the whistleblower in all government situations, that the whistleblower has a right to be protected, and that's not, and he's saying, well, the whistleblower should come forward so that we can question him and question him. And the fact of the matter is the whistleblower is almost irrelevant now, because so many other people have come forward and expressed what they experienced, that the whistleblower is just a footnote now in terms of the whole case of that. So it's you take it from there, folks. I'll leave that up to you. Anyway, here we have America Great. Here's Trump, America Great, keep America great. And here Rand Paul is advocating for the release of the identity of the whistleblower. And here's President Trump thinking about applauding. Here he is applauding Rand Paul. He's giving a big hand of applause to Rand Paul, watching him, and in his thoughts, Here's his thoughts as he's watching Rand Paul, and as President Trump is applauding President Trump's thoughts. This Rand Paul would be a fantastic acting director of the FBI. Acting, I can see it now. And here it is, Rand Paul in front of the Hoover. See if we can bring that in. There's a Hoover FBI building there. Okay. Hoover FBI building. There's Rand Paul as the acting director, the insignia of the FBI. And here he is, whistleblower, wanted dead or alive, like out in the Wild West, you know? Wanted dead or alive. Okay. Now, here we have the stars of this cartoon. First we have Kellyanne Conway, President of Trump's senior advisor, Kellyanne Conway, who's been with him right from the get-go of his presidency. And here we have Chris Wallace of Fox News Sunday. Here's Chris Wallace. And this is an interview they did a while ago on Fox News Sunday, a couple of weeks ago, I guess. Probably a couple of weeks ago, okay? This was November 3rd, okay? Okay, so let's have a go at that. Okay, Fox News anchor Chris Wallace pushes back against White House counselor Kellyanne Conway's claims that Donald Trump had done nothing wrong in his interactions with Ukraine. And here is Chris Wallace questioning Kellyanne Conway. The first question, addressing her. Over the last 2 weeks, top foreign officials for this president have all testified about repeated instances where they saw that support for Ukraine was dependent on Ukraine investigating the Bidens. Isn't that the definition of a quid pro quo? This for that. So here's Kellyanne Conway here. She answers back, Ukraine now has the military aid which was temporarily withheld. President Trump has given more significant support to Ukraine than former President Obama. In other words, the fact that it was done, got done as soon as the whistleblower came out and they released the aid, it doesn't matter that they held it up and all these people died fighting. In the meantime, that's all after the fact because the aid eventually did get there. So it got there, you know, a little late, but it got there. So that was number 2. And here is Chris Wallace here saying, I think you're missing the point. This is not about former President Obama. And then here's Kellyanne Conway's response. Of course it is. Russian President Putin first annexed Crimea from Ukraine because President Vladimir Putin outsmarted President Barack Obama. Blame it on Barack Obama, like blame it on the bus and over that song. You know, this is the point. This is the point. You know, so that was that. Okay. All right, next cartoon. Okay. Here we have the characters here are, first of all here, this is Steve Scalise, the minority whip, whip in the House Minority Whip for the Republicans in the House. Steve Scalise, the House Minority Whip for Republicans in the House. And then we have here House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Okay, and they notice their hands on their stomach. They have a little bit of a stomach ache from all the substance, and so they're turning to process. That's the theme of this cartoon. In spite of Trump saying he wants the focus to stay on the substance of the case with respect to impeachment defense, most Republicans sticking to process arguments because they can't stomach a defense of substance, says a spokesman. House Minority Whip Representative Steve Scalise and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. So this is, he's saying here, there is Steve Scalise saying, this is a one-sided Soviet-style process, okay? This is a one-sided Soviet-style process, and here's Kevin McCarthy saying, here, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Due process starts from the beginning. Okay, so anything, no matter what comes out now, it's not relevant because you didn't have the foundation of due process, okay? So, this is, and they have a little bit of stomach problems here, a little stomach pain, both of them you see here, you know, and here, there. They have a little stomach pain from all the substance. So it's just like an antacid. The process is like an antacid for the stomach. They're doing due process as an antacid for the substance. So it's very acidic. The substance is very acidic on their stomachs. All the substance coming out. So they're turning to process, which is like an Alka-Seltzer, you might say. Okay. Okay, numero uno de la semana, number one, on Twitter impressions was this here. This is a father and a son driving in a car here, and they're driving up to a state park during a government shutdown of what happened last year. For real, this happened, that this state park was shut down because the parking lot was shut down because of the government shutdown. I think it was last January when we had the government shutdown, and they had to close this park here. And this Sabino Canyon National Park was closed because it wasn't closed. The park was open, but the parking lot was closed. So people couldn't park in the parking lot. They had to park God knows where and walk it back to the park. So this parking lot was closed and Sabino Park the park itself was open because of an agricultural center that maintained and used the parking lot, and they were closed. And the people who guarded the parking lot who worked for the agricultural place, and they weren't there, so they had to close the parking lot for the people who came to the park, couldn't park in the parking lot. So they had to park God knows where and walk all that way back to the park. So, and that was last year that actually happened, so I assume it would happen again if there was a government shutdown. And here is President Trump reacting to a question of whether or not if the impeachment process continues, that would influence him in terms of the government shutdown, if that would be a factor in his decision making as far as the government shutdown goes. Okay, so here, let's have a go at it. Here's Trump. Trump refuses to rule out government shutdown if Democrats continue their impeachment inquiry into him over a complaint from the unidentified U.S. official known as the whistleblower, who was concerned that the president's actions on Ukraine were illegal and jeopardized national security. Okay, now here is Trump when asked about Democrats, okay? Trump, when asked about Democrats' concerns that he could shut down the government, again, if they continue to pursue an impeachment inquiry against him. Here is President Trump, right here. I won't commit to anything, we'll see what happens. I won't commit to anything, we'll see what happens. You see? That's President Trump. I won't commit to anything, that's what he said. And here is what happened. This would happen last year at this Sabino Canyon Park. And here I drew people, a father and son, going to the park, and they have a Trump-Pence 2016 on it, and they voted evidently for Trump-Pence ticket. And now they drove to the parking lot and they couldn't get in. They didn't see the sign, and they're driving back out because the parking lot was closed. And they look at the sign and they see it for the first time driving away from the park because they couldn't park their car, and they're looking for a place to park, and then they see this come across this sign, and there's a father and a son looking at the sign that they had not seen on the way in, and here's the sign right here. Trump administration welcomes you to Sabino Canyon National Park. Sorry, parking lot closed due to Dems government shutdown. Enjoy your hiking. Well, enjoy your hiking because you can't use the parking lot and you gotta hike back from where you park your car to Sabino National Park. So the national parks are under the heading of the federal government, and it would be affected by, some of them would and some of them wouldn't, but the only way is, some of them were actually closed. The parks were closed. This was fortunate enough to be open, but the parking lot was closed. So I kind of just used this as an example to show the cartoon, you know, of what I'm sure did happen and could happen again. Okay, so folks, I want to thank you very much for watching my cartoons today, and I hope you get a chance to see them when you get through watching the impeachment hearings. I know that's going to be on everybody's mind for a while, so whenever you get the chance, I hope you enjoy my cartoons from here and on this video, and if you want to look at them more and see more of them, and some flashbacks that I've done to things that have happened today, and show the flashbacks of the cartoons, which have also done very well on Twitter. You can go to Twitter and search Bronx Cartoonist, like the borough of the Bronx, that's where I'm from, Bronx Cartoonist at RJF Cartoons, and you'll come across all my work. And if you go to my profile page, you could see a couple of the books here that I'll show you books of cartoons that I've done. You know, this was the greatest 2019 book of political cartoons on issues of the Donald J. Trump presidency, and you see all my cartoons here. You see some of the work. And then my first book, if you want to do some, is this one here. The greatest book of political cartoons on the Trump presidency, with a flashback to the Democrat and Republican candidates of 2016. So I do some cartoons on the Democrats as well, and the election of 2016. I've got a whole chapter on the Democrats, and cartoons on the Democrats, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, a whole bunch of them, you know. I'll show you one on Bernie Sanders here that I have. Let's see if we, let's see. Oh, well, here's one. Here's an interesting one. Here. This is, well, this is Ben Carson. I'll just point them out to you because I don't want to get everything. I've taken up enough time here. I know it's a little long. I'll just show you some. Here are the Republicans, and here are the, let's see. Here's Hillary Clinton. Okay. Here's Bernie Sanders. You could see. Okay. I want to thank you very much, folks, and I hope you get around to checking out my books, and they're on the, and you can order them from my Twitter page, my profile Twitter page on Twitter, under Bronx Cartoonist at RJF Cartoons. Thank you very much for watching, and take care. See you next time. Bye.